Who really controls the world? If you think one country controls the world, you're already looking in the wrong place. Power today does not sit on a throne. It runs through cables, contracts, shipping lanes, and balance sheets. It moves through systems most people never see. So who really controls the world? To answer that, we need to step back. For most of history, power was visible. Empires controlled territory. Armies controlled borders. Kings and presidents made decisions that directly shaped events. If you wanted to know who was in charge, you looked at flags and military strength. But the modern world does not run on territory alone. It runs on interdependence. Over the past 80 years, globalization connected economies, finance linked markets, and technology compressed distance. Production scattered across continents. Energy flows crossed oceans. Capital began moving instantly. Supply chains stretched across thousands of miles. Control shifted from land to leverage. Today, power is not just about who has the largest military. It is about who controls the systems that everyone else depends on. Why does this matter? Because when systems become centralized, influence concentrates. Let's look at the first layer, money. The global financial system runs on trust, clearing, and settlement. A large share of global trade is invoiced in one currency. International banks settle transactions through a small number of financial hubs. Sovereign debt is issued into markets that are deeply interconnected. This means countries do not just compete economically. They operate within a financial architecture. Access to capital markets, reserve currencies, and payment networks shapes what governments can and cannot do. When financial access is restricted, entire economies feel it. That is not traditional military power. It is systemic power. Now look at energy. Oil and gas are not just commodities. They are infrastructure. Pipelines, refineries, shipping routes, and maritime choke points determine how energy moves. A disruption in one region can shift prices worldwide within hours. Energy pricing influences food costs, transportation, manufacturing, and household bills. Whoever shapes energy flows influences inflation, growth, and political stability far beyond their borders. But energy is only one layer. Consider semiconductors. Modern economies run on chips. Cars, phones, defense systems, power grids, medical devices, and cloud computing all rely on them. Yet advanced semiconductor manufacturing is highly concentrated. A small number of companies design critical architectures. An even smaller number operate the most advanced fabrication facilities. This creates strategic bottlenecks. Control does not mean ownership of every factory. It means influence over key nodes that cannot easily be replaced. Next, shipping. Roughly 80 to 90% of global trade by volume moves by sea. Container ports, canal choke points, insurance markets, and logistics software coordinate this movement. If shipping slows, supermarket shelves empty, factories stall, and inflation rises. No single country controls global shipping outright, but certain routes, companies, and insurers hold disproportionate importance. The system works because it is interconnected. That interconnection creates both efficiency and vulnerability. Now add digital infrastructure. The internet is not abstract. It is made of undersea cables, data centers, satellite networks, and cloud providers, financial transactions, air traffic control, emergency services, and military communications depend on digital timing and data exchange. Control here is not about content alone. It is about physical infrastructure and platform dominance. A handful of companies operate a large share of global cloud computing. A small number of firms manage key routing and software layers. This is infrastructural leverage. Then there is debt. Governments borrow, corporations borrow, households borrow, pensions rely on asset growth, bond markets price risk across borders. Interest rate decisions in one major economy ripple outward, affecting mortgage costs, capital flows, and currency stability elsewhere. Financial gravity pulls capital toward perceived safety and scale. That gravitational pull shapes geopolitical flexibility. So when we ask who controls the world, we should not imagine a secret meeting room. We should imagine a network. In this network, power sits at intersections, at reserve currency clearing systems, at energy choke points, at semiconductor fabrication hubs, at major shipping routes, at cloud infrastructure layers, at large-scale capital markets. These nodes do not belong entirely to one government. They are shared between states, corporations, alliances, and institutions. This is the defining feature of modern power. It is distributed but concentrated. Why does that matter for the United States, the United Kingdom, and Europe? Because advanced economies are deeply embedded in these systems. They benefit from them. They help shape them. But they also depend on them. If energy flows shift, Europe feels it immediately. If interest rates change in a major economy, housing markets in London or California respond. If semiconductor supply tightens, car factories in Germany slow down. If shipping routes are disrupted, retailers in New York and Manchester adjust prices. Interdependence creates influence. It also creates exposure. The global system is not controlled by one actor. It is stabilized by overlapping centers of power. Military alliances protect trade routes. Financial institutions coordinate liquidity. Corporations invest across borders. Regulatory standards shape global markets. Control emerges from alignment. When governments, markets, and infrastructure reinforce each other, influence expands. When they fragment, leverage weakens. That is why discussions about sanctions, reshoring, industrial policy, and digital sovereignty matter. They are attempts to rebalance systemic dependence. The real contest in the modern world is not simply territorial. It is about who sets the rules of key systems, who defines payment standards, who sets technology protocols, who controls strategic resources, who anchors reserve currencies, who builds next-generation infrastructure. Power belongs to those who operate indispensable nodes. But there is a second truth. No system is static. Energy transitions are underway. Digital architectures are evolving. Supply chains are diversifying. Financial alliances are shifting. Demographics are changing labor markets. The structure of global control is not permanent. So who really controls the world? Not a single country. not a single corporation, not a single institution. The world is controlled by systems, and by those who shape the systems everyone else relies on. Understanding that changes how we interpret headlines. It shifts our focus from personalities to infrastructure, from speeches to supply chains, from elections to energy grids, from rhetoric to reserve currencies. If you want to understand where global power is moving next, watch the systems. Watch where capital flows. Watch where factories are built. Watch which currencies settle trade. Watch who secures critical minerals. Watch who owns the cables and the cloud. The map of power is drawn in infrastructure. And that map is changing. What to watch next? As global systems fragment and realign, the countries and companies that control key nodes will shape the next era of influence and the next decade of stability. The world makes more sense when you understand the systems behind it. If this helped, subscribe to Systems Watch for more in-depth analysis. Thank you for watching.